Okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Andrea Vessel, and I'm a student at American University. I'm actually a rising junior, and it's kind of scary. I just thought that I'm halfway through my college career, and these young adults next to me are kind of in the next stage, and it's kind of a little overwhelmed. And hearing everyone's presentation are I think everything was very comprehensive and almost, like I said, overwhelming, and gave me a perspective of things that I didn't think about. And I'm just going to let you know a little bit about myself and where I'm coming from. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. Grew up middle class. Both my parents were at home. I was in private school. I was homeschooled. I was in public school. I was in all-girls Catholic high school. Grew up in the suburbs and went to school in the city. And throughout all that, I was involved in 4-H for 12 years of my life, also a Girl Scout. And those things, those experiences really affected my time now in college and the things that I'm involved in and the things I choose to do, things I choose not to do, and just my outlook on life. And also just in my life, I've kind of been racially isolated, being around a lot of people that aren't black, and also being isolated from family because my immediate family is the only one that lives in Cincinnati or in Ohio in general. So just kind of letting you know where I'm coming from. I didn't have much to say about the presentations because there was so much and I took so many notes, and it would take me forever to just kind of digest that and give you feedback on that. But I did on some of the things. I thought of things that hadn't been talked about. And the first thing was looking at the worldview of a lot of young adults transitioning from adolescence to young adulthood in terms of how they grew up religiously, culturally, and how that changes once they become young adults. I know a lot of people, a lot of friends and acquaintances that consider themselves Methodists or Baptists or some Christian affiliation, but don't practice that anymore or don't consider that important anymore, have completely changed their outlook, are no longer forced to go to church every Sunday. And so they've kind of changed how they look at life. And I think that in relating also to culture and the things that they grew up doing and how that changed, especially for youth like me who I go to school 9 hours away from where I'm from, and my mom's not on my shoulder, what that has to do with the decisions that young adults make, and then looking at how young adults are getting married later or coming back home or engaging in risky behaviors, how their worldview changes. I think looking at that aspect and comparing that to what data is out there, you may be able to see, as people become young adults, they are less affiliated with certain religions, or they're less affiliated with certain viewpoints. I know I've talked to a lot of guys, which is really surprising, who said that they think it's okay to have kids and not be married. So their outlook is to get a job, get a career, have money, and then it's okay to have children and not really be connected to anyone. It's not really necessary, you know. So I was like, that's not okay. And these are people of different races, different socioeconomic statuses, and I think that is very important. I'm sorry I may not be including everything I'm trying to say. I just want to be quick. And I also think that relating that to social media is very important, and what images are out there and what young adults how they're presenting themselves, how they see themselves. I have a Facebook. I don't have anything else, Twitter, Instagram, any of that. And even on my Facebook, I'm not on it that much. I kind of just stalk other people and just look at what they're doing. But I notice, a difference in how people are on these sites and how they are in real life, how this relates to social interactions, and relating to, I've talked to people who say, oh, I know that person from Facebook, but they don't talk to them. They're friends with them on Facebook, but they don't talk to them. So how that kind of relates to relationships among young adults. The second thing I wanted to talk about was kind of what Eric was going on was resiliency in terms of youth positive development. He was a 4-H'er, I was a 4-H'er, and just kind of access and quality youth positive development. I know I grew up middle class. I grew up with access to being a Girl Scout, being 4-H, having a mom that was really involved in the things that I did, and having the opportunities to public speak, to know how to interview, to be prepared, and just kind of see myself as a youth that the sky is the limit. There wasn't a glass ceiling, like, I can't not do something. I got my Girl Scout Gold Award. I did a lot of state and national opportunities. I never at one time thought, I couldn't do this, or people around me may not be doing this, but, and I can't do it either. I saw myself as being able to achieve these things, and I think being in these programs consistently, as I was 12 years of my life, it meant a lot to me. A lot of my free time was in these programs instead of unstructured socializing, doing whatever. In the summer, I was in 4-H, and that has affected me a lot. And I think for low income, or for people that grew up different than I did, who don't have positive images to look up to, who don't have, who maybe have a cycle of poverty, having access to these programs and quality programs that are really there, and they stay there, and they're not 1 year they're funding and 1 year they're out. And I think this is very important in terms of development into young adulthood. And even if a young adult like myself is still financially dependent on my parents, and I will be probably for a while, I still have the skills and skills building that I've gotten from youth positive development to go out and seek opportunities and kind of work out those issues financially or with loans or whatever my parents are helping me with. But I have other skills that can compensate for those things that may be related to economics of the society or whatnot. And then the final thing I wanted to talk about was the racial component of this country and how it's changing. I believe Dr. Deborah was talking about it, and the really importance of racial identity and intercultural relations. As a Black person, I feel like there's isolation when you're middle class or upper class, and when you're lower income, in terms of, there's this thing that came out on Facebook last week about 27 things you deal with by being the only Black person in your class. And everything I've experienced in terms of being singled out, feeling like I have to represent my culture. Everyone's laughing around me, and I'm just like sitting here like, this is not fun, and how that relates to going into college, and how I see myself, and how I see, I think I see what that person just said sounded racist, or little things people say that that seem racist to me, or just having this feeling that there's an institution against me, or that as I come up, there's less people that look like me, and I have to prove myself. I have to succeed at a higher rate, do more to fit in and to be successful. And then on the other end, you have youth that aren't in college, that don't have the same opportunities as me, who are kind of isolated in the sense that they don't see Black people that are successful, or they see people that are looking down on them, Black and white, looking down on them, and kind of that isolation there. And so I think that's a really important dynamic, because the 27 things you experience as being the only Black person, that can be as being the only Muslim, as being the only Latino, and then how that's going to change in the future with more diversity in classes, and more, hopefully more diversity in colleges, because I'm seeing that there's not a lot of diversity, or if there is diversity, it's still a lot of people that are middle class or upper class. So we're kind of more similar, even though we're different races, than people that have different experiences or coming from different backgrounds. So that's kind of what I wanted to say. I was really impromptu on this, so hopefully this was helpful to everyone. So thank you.